Boardroom, District Office, 570 Lito Galindo, Rio Rico, Arizona. May we please stand for the pledge? Mr. Beach, will you do us the honors?
Yes, I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, thank you. Okay. I will do the roll call for today. Ms. Alma de la Riva, Mr. Ben Guerrero,
Here.
Mr. Rene Ramirez, absent, and Mr. Brad Beach.
Present.
And I'm present. We have a quorum. Okay, next thing, subject, adoption of the agenda. Mr. Verdugo.
No recommended changes, thank you.
Okay, no changes. Call to the public.
You gotta approve
Oh,
it.
no, we have to approve. It. Okay, motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Second, okay, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Sorry, call to the public, Mr. Okay, none whatsoever. Okay, we will continue with the presentations, part one. Ms. Susan Fobian's retirement recommendation, Mr. Verdugo.
Recognition.
Recognition. Recommendation for her not to leave.
Voting on it.
We're gonna vote that you don't. I'm just kidding.
Thank you. So I wanted to recognize Ms. Hogan for her 16.5 years of service on the school board. She was, I'm very biased because she was one of the people that was on the board, one of the board members that hired me 11 years ago, 12 years ago now. So she was the last one standing of those original board members. And we know, just like any other profession in education, it takes a toll. And so, you know, especially as a board member, you have a lot of tough decisions to make. She's been through the ups and downs of our district, but where our district is at today has a lot of influence from Ms. Hogan. And so I wanted to thank her for all of her support, her contributions to our district, including visiting all the school sites and doing those type of things and being visible. And I was joking, I was trying to find the picture, but I couldn't find it. But I have a picture of after I was named the superintendent, her bringing a cake to Calabasas to celebrate with the staff there. I don't know if she remembered that, but I was looking for that picture and unfortunately I couldn't find it. But again, just wanted to say thank you to Ms. Hogan, and we have a basket for her as well as a plaque. And I know the board will be able to ask some questions, and then she may have a few parting words. Of course. But again, we wanted to recognize her for her many years of service. And there's the basket. Yeah.
There we go.
We'll need some care. We'll need some care. So
Thank you. I know we all want out as soon as possible. Very short. It has been an absolute pleasure to serve on this board for these past years. I've had 3 different superintendents. Lord knows, a real mix of board members that have come and gone. Some great, awful. But it's a board. So what are you gonna do? We're elected. The reason why I ran for the board was because I was looking at the Dallas Unified School District, and every board meeting day, the whole district was in a state, an absolute state, because nobody knew what would happen that night. And I just kept thinking, why does it have to be that way? There's an agenda. But you know, we'd watch the televised and there'd be just craziness. And so I thought, well, you know, I can conduct a business meeting and participate. So I thought I'll just run for the Santa Cruz. And again, I just believe that it should be done decently and in order. And it's all about the students. And, you know, serving on this board has been just an opportunity to get to know the district better and the community. And it truly, it was never on my bucket list, and I certainly didn't have an agenda. But it's just something that I found to be service. And I often had to be prepared, and I always tried to know exactly what was going to be discussed. And I just thank everyone for that opportunity. So I have lots of things I'll be doing. It's not like it's cruising off until some kind of oblivion, because my advance card already seems to be pretty full. So I thank you all so much for having tolerated me all these years. And thank you all. I know that you will continue to do well. Be very careful who you vote for when you're voting for the school board. It matters. Oh, meeting law exists. I know that Alma will be a real trooper on that too. Make sure that people just, talk for a couple minutes and not 20 or 30. So with that, again, thank you all.
Ms. Alma?
Before you go, the board may have some.
You have something to say, okay.
Sure.
And I know that Miss Alma was in a different area when she was here, so any words for her, Miss Alma?
Yes, of course, Ms. Hogan. I just want to extend my heartfelt gratitude for your years of service to this school board, and most importantly, our students and staff.
And you as well. You understand the workings of it. So,
I just wish you the best in whatever it is that it's on your dance card.
Thank you, Mr. Ben Guerrero.
Yeah, thank you so much for all your years. I mean, 16 years is a long time, right? And yeah, it takes commitment, effort, and it takes a lot to be on a board, as I'm learning.
as you're discovering.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's appreciated. Member of the community, thank you so much.
Mr. Beach.
Yeah, Susan, thank you for your years of service and the lasting impact that you had on our district, our schools, our community. It's greatly appreciated. When I was board president, she had so much experience. It was always hard for a new board president, because I'd go, motion to amend the amendment, and I'd always look at Susan. And she smiled. It was like, I got it right. And then if I got it wrong, she'd be like, then I go, Dave, help me out. So, no, thanks for keeping us on the straight and narrow, and I wish you the best of luck in retirement or whatever you're gonna do, and thank you for all you've done for this district.
Yeah, thank you. With me too, Miss Fobian. Thank you for taking me under your wing, and for for letting me know. Again, I go with what he says. It's like I always look over there and see if I'm, because it's something that's so new to us. As I've never done anything like this in my life ever. Besides the teaching and all that stuff. And and you're so knowledgeable, with all of with everything that you've done, and I really appreciate every time that you would give us a little bit of a insight, and tell us, really, that's not what we're supposed to do. And oh my God, we're not supposed to say that, and so I really appreciate that you, that you were very interested in the fact that you wanted to keep things legal, first of all, and on the right track, and, and all that stuff. So I really appreciate it, and we're really gonna miss you, and we're gonna miss your insight. You never know. We might give you a phone call once in a while and tell you, what do I do here? So, but anyway, I wish you all the luck in the world, okay, with whatever it is that, like Alma said, your little dance card has, I hope you travel. I hope you see the world. I hope you do everything that your heart desires, and I wish you all the luck there. Thank you so much for everything. Do I move on? Moving on to number B, Mr. Dominic Armijo, ASA Elementary Rookie Principal of the Year recommendation. Mr. Verdugo.
Mr. Lopez, can you help?
Take care, Susan.
Again, thank you for today. I wanted to recognize Mr. Armijo, our Mountain View principal. When ASA puts out their annual awards for whether it be ASA Principal of the Year, there was an award that we saw that we thought, oh, this is, we have this hands down, and sure enough, we did win it.
Good, good.
Mr. Armijo has been exemplary, in his first 2 years. And so the award is the ASA Rookie Principal of the Year.
Mhm.
For those principals that are in their first 3 years, and have made a big difference in their school site. And Mr. Armijo came in, and Mountain View was still a good school, and they were a B, but he took them to an A in his first year. And so, I know that there's a lot of pressure to maintain that A, but beyond the letter grade itself, he's done a great job of creating a culture where teachers want to be, where students want to be, where families want to be. You look at his family engagement nights and things like that, they're packed with families wanting to be there. And so he continues to be an exemplary principal for us, and we're very happy that he's part of our team. And we're very happy that ASA recognized him as the Arizona School Administrators Rookie Principal of the Year.
Speech. You don't
He's got a lot of family.
Oh, definitely.
No, so thank you. I mean, I thought it was just an honor to get sort of nominated, you know, and then I received the phone call and I was stunned. It was a Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. So I mentally, physically, I'm already drained. I was like, you know, is this for real? And then soon after I called Whitney, called my better half, and she was totally excited and thrilled for what just happened. So then it clicked for me. I was like, oh yeah, wait, hold on a sec. You know, this is real. So no, it is an honor, and you know, I thank Whitney for her support, and my family and everything. So it's yeah, because they've done a lot. They've done a lot over these past couple of years, and the support I have here in this room, everybody here. We are one big family, and I appreciate this, guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Armijo, I don't know if you remember me, but I was the office clerk or the school secretary at Rio Rico High School when you were a student there. I remember you, and I remember you very well, and I remember you because you were always a very polite, respectful young man. I could tell that you were very well liked by your peers, and I remember your kind face. And well, because you have a kind face, I know kind heart, and kind-hearted people become educators, and you became an educator, and then see what you have done with Mountain View School. I know you did that because of your kind heart, because kind-hearted people, I'm sorry, always think for the other person. They're not selfish. They think of the well-being of the students, the staff, your community. And you're proving that by having received this. So I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Guerrero.
Yeah, Mr. Armijo, congratulations, what an accomplishment. You know, keep at it, and you know, great work. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. B.
Yeah, it's always great to see one of our former students, you know, come back to our district and receive such an honor as that. I never had the kind faces of my class. Always gave me the sweat hog bunch, beach and handle. Yep. No, first and foremost, I want to thank your parents. Parents, thank you for raising such an outstanding young individual. I know as parents, when you see your son grow up to be a principal or to succeed, you can sleep well at night. So thank you for raising such an outstanding individual. So I want to thank your parents. And Dominique, thank you for everything that you do for our district. Yep,
There you go. There you go.
Thanks for everything you do for our district. Your teachers are seen, your teachers are heard, your students are seen, heard, your community. So keep it going and expect another A.
Absolutely. No pressure, okay? No pressure. Good job. Good job. Same thing. you know, everything that everybody says, because I met you too when you were up in high school. You know, he was running with my son, and you know, and just, you know, again, you know, from high school. And I remember I got pictures, okay, and I got video to prove it too. So anyway, but yes, congratulations to your parents for raising such a fantastic, you know, individual human being. And you can tell right away, like when we go and visit the schools, okay, you know, where the teachers and the students respect, you know, their principal and their people in the office, and their, you know, and you can feel that right away. I mean, the vibe that you have when you go into Mountain View, it's just one of that, of friendliness, of, you know, of togetherness, of, you know, of being, you know, that you're not just anybody that's going in there. You know that the people that go in there, you know them already. You know, you know, they're part of our family, okay, and all that. And one of the things that I just want to mention is that, I don't know if everybody knows, but they might know it, okay, when he was a little boy, he went to Mountain View, and you know how the bricks are on the floor, his name is on there when you were a kindergartner, right? Or something.
I'm there, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, but his name is on there. Okay, that is how, you know, I mean, that school is his, you know, it's like, and you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much for everything that you do for our kids and for our teachers and our community. You know, you're very, very, very.
I mean, before we let you go, probably need to at least say who your parents are.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so we have my dad and my mom. They're actually retired from Mountain View.
Yes, they are. I hadn't seen your dad in years.
Willie Armijo and Evelyn Armijo. So yeah.
Mr. Beach would like to say something else.
Yeah, I gotta give your wife a shout out, Mrs. Armijo.
Mrs. Armijo,
because
yeah.
I know as principals, you guys work long hours, and for her support, she's part of this award also.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what a great role model for your children also.
Yes, yes, yeah.
That-
Very, very much so. Congratulations. Congratulations. All righty, moving on. Number 3 is executive session. The county treasurer matters. Mr. Verdugo? Please?
Yes.
All righty, okay. The notice is hereby given to the general public that the governing board of the Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District number 35 may vote to hold an executive session for discussion or consultation for legal advice with its attorneys, and or for discussion or consultation with its attorneys to consider position and instruct its attorneys regarding county treasurer litigation and related matters. The governing board attorneys may participate in person, virtually, or by telephone. Going? Okay, motion to convey to executive session in conference room number 125.
Second.
Yeah, okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, nay? Okay, ayes have it, motion passes, we will convey to room 125. Thank you.
Second.
Somebody, so moved, somebody?
I second it.
You said, okay, okay, so moved, sorry,
Second.
Okay.
all those in favor, say aye, all those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All righty, number 4, presentation, part 2, superintendent's report, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. Just wanted to acknowledge, our teachers that came to work right after the summer started, and our administrative team, for our Leadership Academy. Spent, 2 days working and getting ready for next year already. So appreciate all of the work by, Ms. Leah and the TLA office and her team putting that together, and working on that. And then also this last week, we had the the summer event, which is another time for teachers to come in and prepare for next year. So TLA has been working hard for 2 weeks, so I appreciate all of their efforts in the teachers' time. I tried to help, but I don't think I was very much of a help making omelets on Friday. I am not a chef, but I enjoyed trying to make scrambled eggs. Yeah, I made skillets. That was more of my role there. But also want to thank all of the teachers and the students that are doing summer school, as well as the teams, as I see out there. It's just great to see all the summer work that's happening out there, from the weight room to the fields, to the gym, and all the teams competing. And then also want to thank Audra and the pool for our first summer opening of the swimming pool. It's been great to see. I drove by there and see the parking lot packed and all the kids in the pool. Swimming lessons, I think at one point we had 270 or more registered.
360 now.
360 now
360.
for swim lesson. So, definitely something that I know the community is supportive of, and we're very happy to have them utilizing the pool this summer. But that's it. Thank you.
Okay, very, very good. Let me see, moving on, our governing board report, Miss Alma.
Nothing to report other than just state the fact that I'm very appreciative for having given the opportunity to serve on the board, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you, with the administration and students and staff.
Alma's very well known, so.
Yes, and I was supposed to make that part of my superintendent
Yes.
report, and I forgot that note, so I apologize. But one welcome to the board. I know the board members will be welcoming board, but those of the community that may not know, she started when she was like 12 years old, working in school districts. Has over 35 years of experience working. We'll be putting out a press release at some point, I think all of her years of service in various roles, not only in our district, but the neighboring district as well. And so she has a lot of experience, as well as being the board secretary. She's very well versed on many of the trainings that the board has gone through, having gone through the trainings herself. So, welcome.
Yes. Mr. Guerrero,
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Beach.
Yeah, welcome aboard, Alma. Yeah, we go back a long ways, and I know we've seen this district grow from a dirt football field to, you know, a split high school with, I think it was a middle school.
Yes.
So, yeah, you know our school district, and you're definitely an asset to this board, so welcome aboard. Yeah, thanks to all the teachers, principals, custodial staff, community members that this past month with the graduations, with all the events going on, it took a team effort. So kudos to you guys, and I appreciate your hard work. And I know Miss Brown, this is your busy month, I believe. So continue doing what you're doing, and hopefully the others take a well-needed breather, a well-needed rest this summer, and enjoy. I think your break's coming up pretty soon. Love you guys. Megan's like, no.
No, yeah, yours is.
Thank you guys for all you did this past month. Yep.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, one last thing.
Go ahead.
We had a Real Rico pitcher, right, for the U of A.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, so
Raul Garesan.
So, yeah, so kudos to him representing Rio Rico. I know he won one of the tough matches to get us up, and there's also two, I'm not sure from our community or Rio Rico, that were playing for South Mountain. I think they made it all the way to the semis. So we're putting out some great baseball players here, so
Yeah.
keep up the good work. Yep.
Absolutely, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, but yeah, thank you anyway.
Hold your thunder.
You see, he always steals my thunder. What can I say? No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, again, welcome, Alma. You are, like everybody says, Mr. Verdu said, you've been here for so many years. Okay, we've known each other for forever and ever, and you are a huge asset to our district. I really believe that, because of all of your knowledge that you're gonna be coming in and, and sharing with all of us, and stuff, and we're very happy to have you, really. We really, really are. And anything you need, and we call people, that, okay? Also, it's like, the students, teachers, the administrators with the summer school and everything that's happening right now. It's like kudos to everybody, and Miss Padilla, all of your hard work with all of your people that you always do. And some of these meetings or the little conferences that you guys are having have been, very positive, for a lot of the teachers. I've heard from all of them and stuff. And then the pool, Miss Audra, okay? I thought it was only like 300 kids that have, that was the last time that somebody said the count, okay? And you can tell with all of those kids, the fun that they're having. And I know that there's a lot of people that have been asking, because we have like for the kids, okay, we have like lessons and stuff, but there's a lot of parents that are asking, well, what about, for adults? And I said, well, call the district office, and I know that they've been calling, because, to get the adults, something that we really don't think about. We always think about the kids, and then we're like, hey, that's true. Maybe some of the parents would like to come in and do that. So, I think that's excellent. That has been like the roar, okay, of our community, is how much the kids are enjoying our facilities and everything. Okay, so that was like another thing. So I was also very fortunate to be able to go last week to Flagstaff for the ASBA conference. And why I always, talk about them, because I think I get a lot out of it, and we had really, really good guest speakers and stuff. And I came back and I was talking to Miss Lunderville about a program that in one of the, the sessions that I went, and it has to do with the absentee as well. Lo and behold, thank God, Ms. Lunder is always on top of things as well. And she has sent all of the information to our principals, okay, about this program that will help us, okay, with making sure that we touch everything about the attendance for our kids, because it's something that is happening. And again, and they continue to stress. I mean, it started way before, but it really got bad during the COVID, epidemic or whatever. And people just kind of thought, well, the kids can just do it at home. Okay. And that's not the way it works anymore. It was the way it worked that before, because they couldn't go into the classroom. But just because the kids have a computer, they still need that one-on-one that now is not offered, because it's no longer like a distance learning program or anything. So anyway, but this ASPRA, which Lunderville sent it to all of the principals. Okay, if you guys need any help, let me know. Okay, I really would like to help you guys if there's anything that we can do, because I think it is a chronic problem that we have, and I know that things are changing, and I know that it's going to be affecting us in a very negative way if it continues to be as bad as it has been. Okay, so really, I'm letting you guys know, the principals, call me. You need me to go to their houses, you need me to do something, or if there's anything that I can do, make copies or whatever. Okay, I'm here to help. Okay, and thank you very much for everything. Thank you, Mr. Verdugo. Thank you. Alrighty, so moving on, the policies, information, discussion, actions, Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District policies, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Underville. There is some policy updates due to legislation and other items that we need to update this evening. But I'm going to allow Dr. Linderville to go through those that we need to adjust, as well as some of our own that are non-related to legislature, such as the dress code. I know we wanted to update that, but when we were talking.
Madam President, members of the board, buckle up, this might be a little lengthy and I apologize. Audra, if you can open the other. There's another. That's our code of conduct, but there should be one more.
The whole-
Go back one. Okay. That's it. All right, so if it pleases the president, I'll go ahead and go through the easier policies and we can discuss, and then if we can motion and approve them as we complete them, so then we're not trying to do one big giant motion at a time and it gets confusing, if that's okay.
Yes.
So the first policy is policy 1401. This is an existing policy. And you'll scroll down, Audra, please, to page 2. You can scroll down, please. This is an existing policy and you can see that the changes are in bold. They're very simple. There is a requirement under ARS that parents and legal guardians that we make information accessible to parents and families through our website, through our school handbook, things like that. That is the only change to this policy. There's also a strike through on copies. We don't have to provide them with copies, but we have to make the policies available. So that's the only change to policy 1401. And this one does require
The recommendation would be to.
Okay, so then the recommendation actually will be motion to accept and improve policies 1-401, parent,
just 1401.
Okay, not parent legal guardian?
Yes.
You can read it.
Okay, it's parent legal guardian rights in education. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion passes. Next.
The second policy, if you can just stay on the same form you were on and scroll down to policy 303, technology. Appropriate use of technology is a policy that already exists. Now, we're going to talk specifically about cell phone use a little later on, but the recommended changes to this policy include that we shall restrict the use of personal devices during the school day, and that students shall be permitted to use wireless communication devices during the school day as specifically authorized, which we're going to talk about in the procedure later. And that's the main change. You can also scroll down and see that child pornography was stricken, and they changed the language there. Furthermore, they added that we shall restrict access to social media platforms during the school day. And then on page 2 of the same policy, we are required to notify parents annually or upon revision of our policy or our procedure. And the way that we do that in our district is through the use of our handbook and our handbook acknowledgement form. And anytime we do make changes, we do make those changes available online. And then we also require that parents and students acknowledge the handbook and those changes.
Yeah, and just to follow up, we were already, as Mr. Beach asked earlier, we were compliant with the state regulation already from what the board had approved previously. So it's really just minor updates for us because it follows pretty much the same rule that we had in place.
We have had in place. All right, so recommended action, motion to accept and improve the policies 3-403, technology.
So
So moved. Okay, and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Okay, motion passes. Next.
I'll make a pile over here. So
That's all.
okay, if you could scroll down to the next policy, Audra. 4204, mandatory reporting. This is a big one. However, our policies have been in compliance since the statute changed. If you'll recall, I came to you all in January requesting to make this change. And it does involve the governing board. So as you can see, governing board members under the statute were not specifically listed prior to the last legislative session as mandatory reporters. We have always globally considered you a mandatory reporter because if you read the general definition that was in place prior to, in our opinion, you met that definition for a number of years. Our district has always trained the governing board. You know how you have to do the safe schools training and mandatory reporting. You've always been included in that. It also goes on to talk about all of the abuse reports, which are fairly mundane and similar to what you're used to reading. It also talks about reportable offenses that are defined in ARS 133620. And then it also talks about who you have to report that to.
Is that it?
I just was waiting to see if anyone had, I couldn't tell if Mr. Beach had a question.
Questions?
So I'm writing stuff down, so I just.
All right, okay, recommend.
Rush you guys through them.
No, okay, recommended action, motion to accept and approve policies 4-204, mandatory reporting.
So moved. Second.
Second, okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion passes.
The next policy pertains to student record 5303. The Arizona Department of Libraries has issued new requirements, and this policy addresses that. You can see the policy has very minor changes. Primarily, if you go to the bottom of page 2, we are required to disclose to families and give them the option to opt out of directory or identification. This policy just identifies what directory information is and how it can be used. It also expands the scope of what is called, there are certain individuals who have an educationally relevant need to know information, which means we don't need the parents' consent to release that information. In many cases, that would be if a student was in distress and we needed to access information to provide to law enforcement or things like that. One thing that is changing that is important to note is that we no longer, school resource officers who are not our employees are no longer eligible to have access to that information unless we specifically list them as such in our policy. In our FERPA handbook. And so our district will allow law enforcement to have access to that record. However, we are making them fill out forms to obtain that information so that we have a record that we provided it. What we'll get a lot of times are individuals who have violated probation, and probation will come in and want us to provide them with the student demographic information. And technically we're not obligated to do that. But this does allow us to say no, and it also allows us to say yes if there's a point. And I can answer any questions. Any changes are just related directly to statute.
To this statute? I have none on this one.
Okay, recommended action, motion to accept and approve policies 5-303, student records.
So moved.
Second, okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion passes.
And Audra, if you can go to our student code of conduct, 5305, it was that one, there you go. If you can scroll down, it should be red. I apologize, there was an additional, yeah, that one. Or we're just on that one? No, it's that one. If you can scroll down. All right, so we are going to be talking about our student code of conduct a little bit further in procedures, but while we have the ability to, I wanted to talk about prohibited attire and headgear under the dress code. This is currently what the board approved and is in our handbooks from last year, July, I think the bottom says July 2024. But yeah, so we wanted to go ahead and open up a conversation to talk about revisions, possible changes. I know that there were several comments made about different students non-gender specific wearing tube tops. And I said, well, it says in the policy that, undergarment areas. Well, they just aren't wearing. Well, if you do look at the policy, it says exposes the wearer's midriff, undergarments, or undergarment areas. It does not say that they can take off their undershirt or their bra and expose it. That is an area that I would consider this policy to cover that. I know that the high school and middle school principals are here. If there's anything specific, it doesn't seem to be as big of an issue at the elementary level. Middle school, they still wear uniform. We have tossed around that discussion of bringing uniforms K-12. I don't think we're quite ready to go that route yet. But we have as a team kind of discussed what that would look like. One major change that I would like permission to add is that all students and then also staff, but all students are required to wear their ID. That currently is not in the policy, and I'd like to request that if the board is comfortable with that we can put that ID is required.
Right.
As long as the principals,
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys discussed it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it.
I am too. What about you, Mr.? Are you comfortable with the IDs?
Yep.
Yes, I think it's something that's really important, and one of the things that we are having issues, like every time that we've gone to, like to the high school, like we said, the middle school, again, it's not that much of a problem, once in a while or whatever, but the high school, yes, that thing about the, the tube tops or the backless, attire. I mean, some of the girls even wear like bikini tops, and they say that, oh no, this is allowed, and we're like, no, it's not allowed, and stuff. And I know that the people the people that are the administration are having issues because according to them, there's kind of like, it doesn't say specifically what we want it to say, and that is why they're having issues.
Up to the board if you want to change the language. So right now it says exposes the wearer's mid undergarments or undergarment area, which would include shoulders. If you, the problem with getting specific is then if you want to get specific, we can, but then they'll find another.
They'll find another loophole somewhere else, yeah.
It's a better idea on how to convey that message. I don't know if.
And the only thing is, I know that the halter tops. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if you want to specifically.
Say no halter
No
or
halter
tube tops or tube top
something
tubes.
like that.
I don't know. Do we have any feedback from you, Mr. Lopez, now that you're going to be bombarded with all of that?
We'll say I'm in the process of finishing the transition, so I can tell you firsthand the experience because I haven't been there the last 2 years. So I feel that it's important to use the conversation, the feedback that's been given to provide, in essence, the spirit of all these is what provides the best learning environment for us, right?
Yeah.
Who feels that this is something that helps in that process.
Yeah.
I would always be,
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we want to do. We want to make things easy for you guys, those of you that are doing the discipline part, okay? Because, the people that are doing the discipline part right now, they're, it's frustrating for them because a student will come back and say, well, it doesn't say it. Look what it says, and they'll take out their, what is it, the agenda and whatever, and then they'll show them, and then it's kind of like a losing battle. And I know that it's very frustrating for the administrator when, you've got the student there and you've got sometimes the parents, and they say it's not, she can wear that because it says there that you can. And it's just, we want to be able to, to support, every aspect of it in order for it to get to that point, where that's what it says, and this is the way it is, and this is the way I understand it. So you need to understand it the same way. Again, that's educating the parents again and the students. I mean, because they'll find a way. Like he says,
I like the way it's written, and I think the first line on dress and appearance. The parent shall not present health or safety, problem, cause disruption to the
to
education.
the disruption of
activity.
the class.
So if somebody comes with a tube top, the principal has the authority to say, you know what? this is showing a little bit too much. It's gonna disrupt the educational, process. So here's a Rio Rico Hawk shirt. You gotta wear this today.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that covers a lot of the gray area, you know, I like the way the other stuff is written, so.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's pretty common sense.
I mean, we did spend a significant amount of time to try to be broad, but specific.
I know. Yeah, yeah, and you get into trouble when you say things like that. You do get into trouble, and then you get into the point of, well, that's only targeting girls, or whatever, and and you get into this, this big thing, and we don't want to get there. Okay, we want it to be as, as clear as possible without having to resort to anything, more legal or whatever.
I mean, I feel like it comes down a little bit to Mr. Lopez and his administrative team coming to some consensus on what is and what isn't.
What is and what isn't.
And I think the policy allows for that. If there are specifics that the board wants, we definitely.
No, that's fine. I mean, again, we don't want to make it harder on them. But, but it is, very, it's really disappointing, when you go into the classroom and then you've got the kids, oh, but I got my shirt here. I've got my blouse here. And I'm like, well, why did you have it in there? You knew that this was not, that this was not appropriate for you to bring it. And, and that's where we have to, and again, one of the things that is going to have to happen is teacher buy-in also, because the teachers are the ones that are going to have to say, and again, and I know as a former teacher, how frustrating it gets to the point where you're the only one that's saying something and the rest of the, 90 teachers, nobody says anything. And by the time you get to that student, it's the end of the day and well, so-and-so and so-and-so and so, you become the bad teacher, or you become the, the person that, that the mean one or whatever. But again, okay, I like it too. I think it's fine. I think it's, again, it's going to take, again, for the administration to be able to, to come to a consensus within them. And as long as they, find it that is correct, and, then it's fine.
And the headgear is banned unless they have a medical.
No, we have to allow them under the statute to wear headgear outdoors.
Okay, because right there it says headgear may be worn outdoors only unless there is a medical.
Oh, we need to fix that.
Yeah, so
That's
that's saying that headgear is banned.
be worn.
Outdoors.
Good, I'm glad you got that.
Unless there is. No, I just need to put outdoors, period. Students required.
And I would like the principals, especially Doggo, you going up there, because again, last time when we were doing our walk-arounds, there was a couple kids that had the little M16s on the side. Lettering, it's just, that's inappropriate. I don't mind Rio Rico hats, like I said, with principals. I wish we'd just do school gear. But just keep an eye on that, because if is a problem at the high school with them sort of wearing the Norteña, drug trafficking stuff on the hats, we need to put a stop to that. So keep an eye on that, dog.
And I think we specifically added that the headgear may not allow any of the stuff in section A, which is right above it, because there were a number of like the cartel things floating around for a while.
And not in class, right? I know that.
The way that there's a comma missing, so it said headgear may be worn outdoors only unless there is a medical documentation stating they need to wear the hat all the time, even indoors. That's very rare. We have a couple of students with conditions that they have cooling pieces inside of this like hat that's like ice that does something. They have paperwork for that. But I think that's the message we were trying to convey. They only may be worn outside. I have personally noticed that students have been we have to remind them a lot of times, but before they would just walk through buildings with their hats on. I have noticed that's something that the high school worked on this year, where they're taking them off when they go in the gym, during the during times when a lot of our students didn't even know outdoors that they should take their hat off for the pledge or for it's just things we needed to teach them. But I do feel like that's improved. I'm not as sure about the messages that are on the hats, but I know taking them on and off and using them appropriately has improved some.
Does it say anything there about the earbuds?
We're gonna get. to that.
Okay, we'll get to that. That's technology.
Yeah, that's something. But this was just specific because our number 16 dress and appearance is gonna appear differently
Okay.
on the trust recommendation because I have to go back in and make the changes that the board is requesting. Specifically for dress and appearance, the current recommendation from and I'll show that to you, is extremely, it just says you have to wear shoes. It's not specific, so, but this number 16 is specific to the board's
Okay.
request. Okay,
So. Okay, so then recommended action, motion to accept and approve policies 5-305, student code of conduct as presented.
So move.
So moved.
Alma, you wanna do a second?
Second.
Second, okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Okay, motion passes.
okay. Excellent. So now we're gonna move back to that other. And what we're gonna talk about now are procedures. The governing board does not need to approve these procedures. However, we wanted to review them with you and get your input. One, because they involve cell phone use. The other, because they involve mandatory reporting. About all those procedural pieces of it. So the first one. Second, let me get myself, I had these all in order and now I mixed them all up again. 3403A is technology. I can see far away and I can't see close up, so I have to like put these on to see where she is.
Mhm.
There you go.
What slide is that? Slide, cause I got the presentation on
Yeah, I've
mine.
got it here too, but I don't know which one.
Does it say the slide number?
One.
Is it one?
This is the very first one.
Oh, this is not in the trust, right?
Okay.
All right, so specifically Form 403A is our acceptable use form for students. It includes, if you'll go to page 2, the information on wireless communication devices. You're gonna see cell phones and wireless communication devices referenced in multiple policy procedures that we're going to review right now. The first is that students are restricted regarding the use of district-provided and or personal wireless communication devices during the school day and must adhere to district restrictions regarding the wireless communication devices. What that means is that we provide students with devices, but they also must adhere to the rules. So they can't be texting on their device that we give them or instant messaging. All those things have to be turned off. We do have specific times that students are permitted to use wireless communication under the statute, and we may want to talk about that a little bit. Right now, the power to use communication devices for educational purposes is by statute is given to the teacher. One major issue that we noticed when we went on our walkthroughs, specifically at the high school, is that certain teachers were adhering to that cell phone policy and others were not. And district administration is working with the high school administration to understand that that's not not an acceptable response. Students should not have earbuds in and they should not be on their phones. Now, there are times, and we've all talked about this, internet has been extremely reliable for us. We have not had the issues that we initially had. If you remember, Mr. Shadler showed you the fish and clogged up pipe, and we fixed all that. So in terms of students having access for educational purposes, they really shouldn't need to bring their phones out. The TLA department has worked really hard to find educationally relevant apps that students can use to provide them with research, information, and opportunities. But we recognize and understand that enforcement of cell phone and earbud use in the classroom is something that we're going to have to tackle with the staff. We recognize that early on. Some teachers are very strict about it. They even have like a location where students can leave their phones while they're learning. And then other times, not so much. We all walked into classrooms like that, but Mr. Lopez is well aware that's something that we want to address. The other section of the policy talks about limiting communication or not limiting communication with parents. Our district is going with the stance that if a student has an emergency and they need to speak with their parent, we will make a place available for them to do so. Whether or not they step into a room and are allowed at that point to pull out their phone, that's up to the, right now, that would be up to the administrator unless you want to change that. Or I can put specific language to designate an area with the phone. I think it's, in my opinion, personally, they're gonna have to pull their phone out because they're not gonna remember the number. If they're supervised and doing it for a reason, I would say that would probably be okay. There are students who have medical conditions, specifically our diabetic students. A lot of them monitor their sugar levels via their cell phone apps. Those students, I already created the form. We're already working on, I started this last year where they fill that out so that if they have their phone out, a lot of them check. You'll see them after class. Sometimes if they start to feel strange or their phone will go off. And I gave them, they have forms on file that allow their alerts to go off on their phone so that, and the teachers are aware that they have a condition that would require that. There's also language that talks about when kids are bringing their phones on our campus, they do so at their own risk. If other kids steal their phones, if their phones get lost, broken, whatever. It also gives us some latitude. And if you recall in the past, I used to get really nervous about people taking the phones out of a kid's possession and then holding on to them for long periods of time because we've had multiple situations where I locked it in the safe, but then someone else went in the safe. Somehow the phone lost and then they're trying to file police reports and claims with Ms. Brown and I about, we need to replace their phone. There is language in here that tells them if we take it, we are not supposed to hold them over 24 hours. So, but if they do that in another district, that's up to them to talk about. The parent can pick it up. After the first offense in our code of conduct, it's a suspension. They don't get all these, like, we're taking it for 5 months. Like, no, they just start getting suspended for, we're not going to control their property. They're just not going to participate. And I think that pretty much summarizes the technology pieces. There is information about AI in here. It mimics exactly what Sean talked about adding. I asked, we didn't get this until fairly late, but since it's a procedure, I just wanted the board to be aware that the statute on AI. And again, this doesn't need to be.
No, it doesn't need to be.
Just are acceptable use of students. This is what parents are gonna. Questions?
And one of the questions that I had is that do students still have to sign the form, the sheet or whatever that comes in their agenda, their handbook or whatever, and turn it into the office so that they state, that they have read it and that they have gone.
That's how we track everything. So it's no longer a paper copy, Ms. Vasquez. We moved to
Electronic. Okay.
But what we're talking about having this year is one acknowledgement that covers all of
Everything.
so that, and we're translating it in both languages because I have had that come back. We're not required by law to translate it for our community, and so we want our parents and our families to understand and to be on the same page. We're gonna translate that document in peace.
Thank you.
We're required to have both the students and the parents acknowledge that, and then during the school, first 10 days of school, it's typically happens during language arts or ELA. The handbooks are reviewed by those teachers.
Okay.
And the students, again, to answer any questions, that's.
Exactly. Okay. Okay. I was just wondering about that.
No, that was a great.
That's good.
Question. If we ever go to a hearing and we do not have that, we won't go to a hearing.
You can't go to.
I'll basically say like, we're not going to a hearing. But yeah. So policy, our procedure 4204. We're almost done. I appreciate everyone hanging in there. I know these are cumbersome. 4204 is mandatory reporting of child abuse. This just talks about our procedure, that we include substitute teachers and work. One nice thing that we, have going into next year is that we have someone who's gonna be, responsible for training our substitutes, so we'll be able to make sure that those substitutes are getting that mandatory reporting training. Sometimes I think that's confusing and scary for them. And given the number of long subs that we have, we're going to have a very specific PowerPoint that person will be able to use to train them.
Great.
And I'm not gonna go through every single procedure and read them unless the board would like me to.
No.
Student directory information, 5303B, talks specifically about how the district will know parents and families to directory, that's FERPA, and how, and who and when we can release that information. Parents are automatically opted in unless they choose to opt out. So if they don't want their picture in the yearbook, or they don't want certain, their address released to colleges, they can make that choice. Our parent liaisons are responsible for maintaining and ensuring that any information that's posted on social media does not contain student images that are to opt out. It is a felony for us to post their picture if they opt out, so we have to be really careful of that. 5305A, Student Code of Conduct. If you can go directly, there we go. So this is the entire procedure for our cell phone policy. And again, it has all the definitions, so it defines a school day. People had asked, does it include passing periods, lunchtime? It does. A social media platform, it gives the definition of that. It also includes devices, a definition of personal communication devices. So in our case, it would include cell phones, it would include watches, it would include meta glasses, it would include earbuds, it would include wireless headphones, and it would include headphones, not any sort of ear listening device not provided by the district. One thing I do think we might want to add are cameras, because kids can purchase very small cameras and clip them and record and transmit that way as well.
Yes.
And the meta glasses, there's different versions of them, so I'm just going to put any kind of eyewear that may contain communication.
Okay.
Did I forget any?
Tomorrow they'll come up.
Oh, no, yeah. Technology will advance by tomorrow.
Any reason you think of some, but we can, this is a procedure, this is a breathing working document, we can amend it. Without bunch of board approval, we just can amend it.
Dr. Linderville, on the previous one, it said with the cell phones, are not allowed during school, and it gave it pretty much.
Pretty much.
Like it was in, it's not in the procedures, it's in the, I think, the policy.
Yeah, if you could go back to the policy, or no, just stay. other tab that has the code of conduct. Perfect. Can you scroll down? This is what we have just in the code of conduct. I think that's what you were talking about, Mr. B.
Yeah, so that contradicts the permitted uses. So which supersedes,
Where does it contradict?
because on the procedure, it says permitted uses, students shall be permitted to use wireless communication devices for educational purposes as determined by the student's teacher or individual educational program. I thought we didn't have that in the procedure.
If they have an IEP and it specifically states that they use their device for, there are a number of students in this district who have their phone or iPad and it's a communication device. And that's what I was talking about at the beginning. If we do not want a teacher to be able to allow students to utilize their devices, we need to make sure that they're enforcing that piece. But the educational purpose piece, if you go back to the policy, it outlines what an educational purpose is, and it says if the district is already providing it, they don't need to use their personal.
You don't need to use the phone.
So we should take that out for,
Because our students are provided with a district device.
yeah, but this is for cell phones right here,
No, this is for all wireless communication.
including cell phones.
It would include, yes, that entire big definition I gave you before.
So I would take specifically put the cell phone out of the classroom, out of the teacher's purview. Because I thought that as a board that we had discussed that, because that's gonna give, like when we did our walkabouts.
Yeah.
One teacher was sitting behind the desk, there was about 4 or 5 cell phones out, they were texting and that's one of the ladies put it away. And that's where we get in trouble is when, well, I allowed them to use it for educational purposes. I didn't know she was on this or the 5 were, you know, and that's where that gray area gets involved when if it's not one or the other, then you're gonna have teachers, you know, principal comes in, why are they on these sites that they're not supposed to be? Well, I told them it was you know, they told me it was for educational use only. And I think as a board, it specifically stated that that was off the table. It was just,
Can you go back to the procedure, please? Scroll down just a little bit. So permitted uses, we could put students shall be permitted to use wireless communication provided by the district only.
yeah,
I think
Yep, I can.
you're getting away from they were done with work, so I gave them free time.
Yes, and we went into classrooms and, cause they were doing really good today, so I gave them free time on their phone.
but, and I also think that for Mr. Lopez and his staff, it just makes it easier. When they go in and they see this, that the teacher can't sort of gaslight them and said, well, it was for educational. I didn't know they were on these sites.
Yeah, for.
I think it's just cut and dry that we just get rid of them in the state. And our governor has stated that she doesn't want them in our schools.
Yeah, I think by adding that sentence, that will clarify that, but what we're talking about is the global use of all wireless communication. So the district provides it.
So they don't need a cell phone.
Exactly, and that's, I think by adding that line, and I think it's made clear and with our staff that personal cell phones, aside from the first 3.
Right. The IEPs.
Yeah. Maybe or have a medical condition.
Yeah.
I think that solves a lot.
I think that'll solve a lot of headaches for the administration.
I will add that.
Thank you.
Because they all have devices anyway.
Yes, everybody has a.
As district provider, we're one.
Uh-huh.
And like I mentioned before, before it was an excuse about, well, the internet goes down. I don't believe we're having the same challenge we had in the past.
Yeah.
That I'm aware of.
Yeah.
The rest of the policy talks about that we have to provide them with a place that they may contact. I can't see where she's at. Can you go on page 1, please? right there. Students may contact parents or guardians during the school day with the express written permission or with the express permission from a teacher. They can call the office. It lists some examples there. K-8 really isn't impacted by this because we have not allowed cell phones, period, there for since I've been here. But it does talk about restrictions specifically for K-8 students. And then 9 through 12, it talks about before school, after school, lunch breaks. I'm gonna take out lunches, we're gonna take out all of it where there's no personal use of cell phones. However, during lunch and other times, does the board want to restrict the use of their district provided device?
No,
Not right
the
now.
personal, the district's computer that they carry around or? No, it's-
No.
They can do other,
Yeah.
nothing inappropriate, it's restricted, but the way that the policy reads up top, we need to be consistent with it in the procedure.
That'd be fine, cause if a teacher or an administrator suspects a student of misusing the computer during lunch, all you gotta do is contact Mr. St. Cour and say,
Or
hey,
Mr. St. Cour will contact the
you know, give me a readout on his last.
They will, I know he will.
And there's still going to be restrictions, it's not like they can go on Snapchat, FaceTime.
No.
We can't really do a whole lot.
YouTube
We
or,
turned off Google Chat feature for our staff and our students a while ago because the adults were maybe using it in a way that we weren't real comfortable with either. So there's no chat feature that I'm aware of, unless, no. There's no chat feature. I know there are ways that they can collaborate on projects through different apps that are educationally relevant.
yes.
I don't think there was a lot of.
But that's not a problem. I mean, that shouldn't be a problem because everything else that's not supposed to be there, they email, they can email, but
And one thing to note is that if students are using email inappropriately, Mr. Thompson gets an alert through BARC and we immediately start to investigate.
exactly.
Kids who have made threats or spoken about parties or
Yes.
things and flags it and sends him an email.
I've heard that.
That's the same for staff as well, if they are doing things that could potentially be inappropriate or fine. Consequences for non-compliance, on our, discipline matrix, and our security at the high school. Again, this isn't as global as an issue in K-8. But they have taken cell phones from students, they bring them with the phone immediately to the office, and that's asked to get the phone. And then after that, it's a suspension. And I think we've been pretty tight with that. I think our issue is in the classroom. The teachers need to work on educating them so they understand their expectations. Anything else for the procedure?
No.
The very last one, and then we're all done with procedures for today. Our police interviews. When a student is accused or suspected of a criminal act, in prior years, law enforcement could come on campus, would reach out to the parent and allow them to interview, or provide them with information about our students, whether it's on an on-campus incident or an off-campus incident. Moving forward, we no longer will give them that access without following the appropriate protocol. We request that law enforcement give us 20 minutes notice before they show up. They love to show up and just tell us, we need this kid, and then they want to arrest them or question them. Those students are ours, in the absence of their parent. And I think this just helps to identify a line of procedure for law enforcement, because sometimes you get ones who don't want to do anything, and other times you get law enforcement. And I certainly am not saying anything negative, I just don't think they followed a procedure. And that's something that we struggled with where, you know, probation would take kids, assign kids out and they have no authority to do so. This helps kind of, eliminate any of that.
Now, do we give the probation and sheriff and police department a copy of the procedures?
We have a meeting with them, we have a training at the beginning of the year, and then we have, we've struggled a little bit, with the current administration and the sheriff's office to have a regularly standing meeting. We used to have one every month, every quarter. I'm hoping that with the addition of our safety and security person, last year, that he'll be able to get those going. Fire, we have no, we meet regularly with both fire departments, open communication, we do drills. The sheriff's office is a little bit different. So we're hoping that will be able to have a stronger relationship. The other area that we're working with the county on, this is outside of the policy, but there is not a truancy officer in Santa Cruz County, and there have not been truancy enforcement in at least the last 10 years. 10 years I can say that I know of for sure. In the past, there was a packet, we would fill all that out, submit it to the county attorney's office, and then they would proceed with either, there is a $350 fine per occurrence that could be charged to a parent under the statute, but anyone to enforce that here. So we're hoping that we can continue to work with the sheriff's office and the county together to address truancy. Sometimes it's not our students' fault. It's their parents, and sometimes that fear of penalty can help them get their kids here, so we are working on that. Student just interviews by school staff, again, there is a section in here that talks a little bit about that. We can question students at will. We don't need probable cause. We only need cause at the inception to search them. But to question them, we're their parent in the absence. We are under no obligation to call the parent. We're under no obligation to bring the parent in while we're interviewing the student. We sometimes do that out of respect and, depending on the issue. But this just further solidifies that school districts. Now, we do not interview our kids with law enforcement present. Once law enforcement has been given the information and is taken over, we step out at that point in time, and I tell our principals, should not be in that room when law enforcement's questioning a student. They also at times will request all of our notes, and there is guidance in the statute, not in this procedure specifically on what we can and cannot share with them. That's all I have. It was a lot, but thank you guys.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's always the safety and the well-being of our students that we're doing.
And I will send out the final so you can see there were no recommended changes. I'll send
Thank you.
them.
Thank you.
Or goes to the trust.
And all of those changes will be in the
website.
handbook and on the website.
Website and updated in the policy.
Wherever it's.
It will be book our student codes of conduct and everything. We also bring back our discipline and matrix to the board in October, just for a review.
Just a review.
And maybe at that point in time, we can give each of them about.
Alrighty, thank you. All right, so then moving on, that would be subject B, to propose and prioritize topics and possible dates and times for future board meetings. Mr. Verdulli?
So we do have our next meeting on June 24th, and we've exhausted many of our future topics down there, so we've hit a lot of them. So there's 3 left, but is there any items at the?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Ms. Salmano, Mr. Guerrero? No, tampoco. I have nothing either. So because we have been hitting a lot of them, these were a lot. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Moving on, consent agenda, subject approval of the consent agenda. Anybody? Any matter? Does anybody have any? Like to? No. Mr. Guerrero? I have nothing either. Okay, so then recommended action is motion to approve and accept and ratify the consent agenda as presented. So moved. Did you say so? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Okay, motion passes and what else we have, and we are done, right? Wow, and it is adjourned at 7:09. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.